All right, so got this guy off here. So like I said, now we're gonna go ahead and burn this bracket in, get the inside of it all welded in good, kind of clean it up and get her all ready to go here. That way we can stick it back on the truck and tack it in place and kind of start wrapping up this cross member section of it so we can start doing our lower links and get that going. So I'm gonna get to burning this dude. Well, here we are. Got this joker all welded up. See there. Got all the inside burned in nice. Got all the spatter cleaned out of there the best I could. Now you'll notice that I went over like from here to here, and I cleaned off that black paint. I didn't really grind it. I used like a Scotch-Brite wheel and just cleaned off that black paint that I had on there because this part's all finished. You shouldn't have to weld any more to that, I don't think. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna throw it on a stand and just go ahead and coat this center section with some gloss black. That way it doesn't rust up and it's all kind of taken care of. And you see I left all this right here with just that flat black stuff on there, and this edge right here kind of ground off. That way I'll have a good clean edge to weld. So I'm just gonna kind of paint like, you know, from here over and just go ahead and get that kind of finished out. Then we'll sit this over in the truck after it dries up real good and go ahead and get her tacked in place. So for now, I'm gonna go over here and throw on some sawhorses and get her painted. We'll come back when it's time to put this dude back in the truck. Alrighty, so as you see, got our cross member sitting up there. I did go ahead and tack it in place off camera after I put a little paint on it, let it dry. I did go ahead and chamfer the ends of the tubing right there and went ahead and threw a spot weld on it. You can see it right there. That way they're all kind of locked into place because our next move is to start figuring out our lower mounts. Now, you'll notice we got a lot of stuff missing out here. Now, I've got a parking brake assembly that does kind of extend over just a little bit right here, and also the caliper mounts off of it. So that is that guy right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this guy on there, and I'm gonna go hunt down my caliper and kind of stick it on there. That way those two things stick inward the most. So that way I can make sure that that's on there and my lower link will clear that. We're also gonna need that on there in order to do the bag mounts anyway to ensure that they clear everything as well. So I'm gonna throw them bad boys on right quick, and then we'll kind of get an idea for where we're sitting. Now you can kind of see I've already got my lower mounts my little tombstones kind of made up. These are the ones that I originally made. I did come back and cut 3/4 of an inch off of them so I could get them sitting as close to the axle as possible. Same as before, I made my little marks here. That way I can match them up to get my angle just right for my tubes on either side, or my link arms, not my tubes. So let's get to throwing this parking brake assemblies on. All right, so see we got our backing plate and our caliper on there. I did go ahead and do both sides. You see one goes to the back and one goes to the front. Now if they both went to the back, it would make it a little easier because I could move my link arm mount out here a little bit more just to give me a little bit more angle there, but I should be able to get enough anyway. Now, some of you will see this little mark right here. That mark represents how far the wheel, the inside edge of the wheel, that marks the maximum that it comes in. So then obviously you see we've got our bolts for our caliper and how much more they extend. So I kind of marked this, that way I kind of have that for when I get ready to put my my bag mount and that type of stuff on there. That we don't have to rebuild all the hub and everything just to do that. So now, let's see, mounting the, oh golly, I forgot where I was at. Mounting the link arms. So, all right, so got our marks made. Now I went ahead and I cut the tubing for the 2 link arms for the bottom. I did go ahead and clean off the bottom of the axle. I did all that off camera because it's boring and probably you've seen me do it before. I did go ahead, I marked the center line on the axle the same way that I marked the center line on the top of the axle. So I did go ahead, I showed you my, So I went ahead and I've got my, my hind joints stuck into my link arm right here. I got my tombstones cut right here for the front, and I've got them on this other end too. I got them cut for the front and the rear. I did go ahead and make the little marks on them, you know, like we did on the other side. So now, what I'm actually going to try to do here is I'm going to snug this up just a little bit here, kind of hand tight. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to line this up, line the marks up on my little tombstones here with the marks on the center line of the axle. Actually I forgot to say, I cut the lower link arms the exact same length as the upper link arms. My goal with this, you know, I showed you there's a lot of different ways that you can set up a triangulated 4-link. My goal with this is I want four arms that are the same length, that are on the same and that are run parallel to each other. That way, let's say for street driving, that's kind of an ideal setup. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to put this link arm as far out as I can get it, and I'm going to do my offset the same way I did the top. So if I come 1 notch forward on the outside, I'll go 1 notch, or if I come 1 notch in on the outside, I'll go 1 notch out on the other side here. I have already taken a measurement on the top up there. I know exactly where the center of the bolt is in relation to the top edge of the frame rail on the front, and I've kind of got a rough idea exactly how far I need to be. I need to be 3/4 of an inch down from the bottom of the frame rail to the center of this bolt right here. Now the way I'm going to do that, I plan to build a bracket that's going to go to the outside of the frame rail for that front mount. Now I got a piece of wood over here that I've already kind of measured, and it should sit this thing about right. That way we can kind of set it up here and kind of eyeball this guy and get a good look at where we need to be. So I guess first things first, I'm gonna get my little piece of wood, I'm gonna slide it over here and see how long it takes me to drop all this on the floor. I'm sure it won't take that long. Now, I did go ahead, like I said, I measured from the top of the axle to the center of the bolt on the rear mount back here. I went ahead and I measured from the axle straight down. That way I know exactly what the separation is between the center line of the bolt on top, center line of the bolt on bottom in relation to what was it, 75%? I'm trying to look at my board over there. 25% of tire size. Now I'm not gonna nail this thing dead on balls, but that I'm gonna get it as close as I possibly can. So let's see here. What's gonna be the best way to do this? I think I'm gonna try to clamp on the bar to the bottom of the axle first here. Maybe if I can, yeah, I think this might actually work. Yep, so I'm getting my quick grips, lean under here. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Y'all forgive me, my voice is like super hoarse because I have just got back from a ball tournament this past weekend. We had the All-American Games and my voice is spent. All right, so I got my center line. I would stick this under here where you could see it, but it's kind of dark. I can barely see it with my bare eyes, and you wouldn't be able to see it on the camera. Anyway, I feel pretty confident of that. So my goal, let's see here. I want to move this thing out as far as I can. It doesn't really So I'm gonna go one mark out right there. So it's gonna be one of the others. So try to see if I can clamp this guy in place here. I think I can kind of tap it a little bit after the fact. I can get it kind of loosely clamped in place. This is not a perfect science, obviously. Not yet, anyway. It'll help if I squeeze the right down part of this thing. All right, there's one. Let's see what this other one looks like. Way off. Should have brought a fast flashlight under here with me. Okay. So now, in theory, all I should have to do is get my center line on my axle and my little mark on my tombstone here and just put them dead on each other and should be dead center. Let's see. There we go. So that one there, where it wouldn't mark in. Woo-hoo. I can just hit that. Over here, where one mark. I went the wrong way with this one. I think I just hit the camera. Hope you can still see me. Because I ain't getting up but once. I'm going to roll this back forward. Right there. There we go. Alright. Feeling pretty good about that. Now, all right, that held in place. Golly, it's like super congested. Let me check, make sure you can still see me. Oh yeah. All right, so like I said, I got my little custom board here. Alright, so it looks like I'm about to pull out my hind joint down here, so hopefully I can get that slide back on there without knocking my, there it went. Alright, so I got this tombstone right here. I'm not going to be able to use these up here, but just for the sake of sitting it up here's sake, I can at least sit against the frame and kind of get an idea of what I got going on here. Right now, I just want to get this where it's flush to the side of the frame, as flush as possible. All right, so pretty daggum happy with that. That's pretty nice, actually. So, all right, so now let me get you down here eye level. Now you get a little better idea there. You can kind of see how that top link, bottom link, they're running parallel to each other. Now I've got the same amount of distance between the center of the bolt at the front there and center to center on the rear there. So now what we got to do, got to come up here, figure out how we're going to make a bracket that's going to tie all that together. So I guess we're going to start with a little cardboard here, because what I'm kind of imagining is I'm going to basically, like I said, I'm not going to be able to use this. I'll take these off, but I want to make a bracket that's going to kind of come under the V, go under the frame, come out flush right here, and then V back under so that I can weld it to the bottom edge of the frame, and then it'll be the first little mounting point, connecting point there, and then we'll come up to the top here and tile the rest of this in. Now, I'm going to have to cut this guy off, I do believe. Maybe not. That's a parking brake cable holder. And looks like I need to use both sides of it. So I might actually cut this thing off and raise it all the way back up here to the top. I think I'm actually going to do that. Probably take a plasma cutter, knock that dude off right quick. But for starters, we're going to jump up here and I'll give you an idea. I'll show you on cardboard what I got in mind for that first little bracket right there. You can kind of see underneath that, kind of gives you an idea where I'm at with this guy right now. So now what I also did too, like I said, the link arms are the same length. I'm coming off a center line on the axle. So that way I can establish that the center line all the way across there, all 4 bars will be mounted in the same spot there, same length, and all of them nice and parallel. Should make for a really nice ride. So let's jump up here and draw some cardboard. All right, well, you saw me make it. There it is. So basically, I'm gonna bend it like that. It's gonna sit on the frame. These 2 ears are gonna kind of extend under at like a 40-degree angle, or something like that. Then I'll burn it in there, be able to burn it on both sides, all the way across here. We'll put a hole in it right here so we can stick a bolt through it. And then that'll hold our link arm up there so we can kind of figure out how I want to build in the rest of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work. Let's transfer this over to some steel, get it all chopped out, and be ready to tack that dude in place. Alrighty then, so got this bad boy all cut out. So now I need to measure in, mark my 3 inches where I want to make my bends here. You saw me kind of go ahead and mark my little center line there, or not my center line, but my that's not marking for shit. Well, it's kind of marking. I made my mark where I need to drill my hole. So now I'll come on in here. These are where I want to put my bends. So, a little fatter pin here. Now, see if I can actually get these marked now. Still just, a little bit warm. Shnikes. Bang. Yeah, the bad boy is still toasty. You see it's shiny now. I just kind of knocked over it with a grinder, kind of knocked the face of it off there. So that's what that looked like right there. We'll go on and center punch our hole. I'm gonna go ahead and drill a hole while it's still flat, because it'll be a lot easier for me to hold it in the drill press and drill that 5/8 hole down through there. I think I should be able to hold that. If not, I will put it in the vise and drill that bad boy. And I'll do it too. Mark this guy up right quick, and I'll go drill a hole, and then we'll come back and we'll bend these things. Break them, not bend them. We'll break them. Yeah. I wonder if we ever came up with that. Breaking it instead of just bending it. Bend just seems like it would be a much simpler way to describe what's happening, but break sounds a bit more professional, I reckon. There we go. Not super in love with that. I missed my cut just a shade, but it'd be alright. It's not a perfect science. I cut it by hand. Ooh, that one lined up nice though. Alright, so those 2 are marked. I'm gonna go drill a hole and break these guys over, and then we'll come back and look at our finished product. Okay, so check that bad boy out right there. That is fine and frog hair, ladies and gentlemen. That literally could not have come out any better if it had to. I am super excited. 5/8 bolt fits through there nicely. And my big old pinch lock nut right here. So the idea is that will be on the inside. Boom, you got just enough room. Time you run a bead there, fit a socket over it. Should be really, 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 really nice. So I am super excited about that. So next I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab the link arms, those lowers. I'm gonna grab those, and I'm gonna go ahead and chamfer the edges of those back and tack them together. That way when we come back, we can kind of stick this guy up here and get them ready to tack in place where they need to go. I did go ahead and mark on the axle where the lower link is. That way I can kind of mirror it and match it to the other side. but getting these put in place is going to be a really big deal to get this guy really to kind of final locate everything so we can tack it all together and then get ready to move on to the next step here. So I'm going to go and grind some tubing right quick, and then we'll come back and see about tacking some pieces together.